I know it looks like I'm on vacation, but I'm actually not. I am working, but it's the best kind of job because I'm traveling with a few of my clients in Greece in the Ionian Islands. And so, hence the extra freckles on my face and the hat. I'm working while I'm getting the vitamin D and the experience of these amazing sunrises and sunsets in the Ionian Islands. But I'm also working. I'm away from my family, so I miss them. But because I wanted to give you a little background as to what I'm experiencing right now, and I want to share a little bit of that with you before we start nerding out on carbon dioxide. So here, check it out. Check out this unbelievable sunrise. The boat is traveling through this amazing bridge that I didn't even know existed because I've never been to Greece before. And ultimately, what I'm seeing from my perspective is the sun for the first time ever in the world, and I never thought I would even utter these words in one sentence. I'm watching the sun set as the sun rises. So you see, as we're traveling underneath the bridge, the sun is setting underneath the bridge as it's rising on the earth. So unbelievable. I just wanted to share that with you. I want to share my experiences with the world, and I also want to share my experiences with the world about my findings regarding carbon dioxide training. So let's get into it. I know I've talked about this in several of my videos. You can click on almost any of my videos on YouTube, and I'm probably going to talk about carbon dioxide at some point in the video. I recently purchased a capno trainer for my clients to optimize their carbon dioxide levels while they're working out. And in conjunction, I've also been performing testing on myself using this amazing unit that gives you real-time biofeedback as to what your carbon dioxide is doing when you're at rest, when you're stretching, and especially my area of interest is when we are exercising. What I see mostly is that individuals tend to exercise with low carbon dioxide levels. That is called hypocapnia. We're becoming hypocapnic. That just means low carbon dioxide. And when that happens, we're not optimizing our muscle activity, our brain activity, our circulatory activity in general when we are exercising. Why is that? When we are low carbon dioxide, our blood vessels constrict, and it makes it so that not as much blood can flow through clearly because we're making the canal more narrow, and then also the velocity changes through that canal. And so less blood flow to the muscle means less results, whether we're going for strength, for endurance, for muscle mass, whatever the goal is, you're going to improve that goal in a lesser amount of time if you optimize your carbon dioxide levels during exercise. For those of you who don't know me, my name is AJ Fisher. I'm the creator of the HYPOXiX technique and the breathography method. And you can go to hypoxix.fitness, that's HYPOXiX.fitness, and join the free community there. I'm very interactive with that community. And in the classes on hypoxix.studio, that is our studio. That is where I teach you how to breathe using my technique that optimizes your carbon dioxide levels with exercise. Those of you who have been following me for a while know that I now have a capno trainer. Thank you so much, Peter Litchfield, for this amazing invention. Please follow him. He has devoted his life to breath and exercise and activities of daily living. Ultimately, he has studied breath and levels of carbon dioxide and optimizing carbon dioxide levels in every part of life. So this amazing tool, the Capno Trainer Go, allows health professionals to test carbon dioxide in real time. And I'm testing my carbon dioxide levels on a daily basis with a variety of activities. The results are enlightening and inspiring much of my writings and postings. My findings are confirming what I have been teaching for years. I was recently reading a study about the increase in executive functioning in the prefrontal cortex with increased blood flow to the brain from both exercise and purely breathing hypercapnic air. What were the scientists trying to prove? The scientists were trying to prove that the increase in executive functioning activity or intelligence that we experience post-exercise, a large piece of that is due to the rise in carbon dioxide in the body from exercise. So ultimately, they had a control group who just was not doing anything, a group of exercisers, and a group breathing pure carbon dioxide air. I think it was 3% or 5%. I need to look back on those details. In fact, I'll put the study below so that you can read the study yourself. And so they looked at the blood flow to the brain in the carbon dioxide air group, in the exercising group, and in the control group. And what they found was that the increase in blood flow was the same in the exercising group and the carbon dioxide group. And then they took those groups and they performed cognition tests, specifically inhibitory control reaction tests, and they ultimately used visual stimuli, saccades, anti-saccades, inhibitory control, post-exercise. So they used lights, and I'm not familiar with these tests. I'm certainly not a visual scientist, but I can interpret the results as what they found was that, yes, due to the increases in blood flow in the carbon dioxide group and in the exercising group, very, very similar increases in reaction time and improvements in executive functioning, in cognition based on those tests. Now, in my experience anecdotally, and I've been teaching this for years, it's only recently that I've been able to confirm this with my CAPNA trainer. Many clients who I've worked with one-on-one, I've witnessed them hyperventilating, almost in a state of panic, overbreathing when they get to a certain intensity of exercise. Now, this has diminishing returns because when we overbreathe, when we get to a high intensity of exercise, it vasoconstricts. As we've learned, it narrows the blood vessels while we're exercising. And what is that going to do? It's only going to minimize the blood flow and the oxygen to our muscles during exercise. And don't you think if we trained ourselves to control our breathing and slow that breathing down just a little bit, we're going to increase the size of the blood vessels. We're going to increase the oxygen and the blood delivery to the muscles, not only to the muscles, but what we're talking about today is to the brain. And then we have this amazing pairing of increased intelligence and focus while we're exercising, which is just unreal. Scientific term, unreal. Increased blood flow to our prefrontal cortex means increased adaptations through higher levels of activity in the area that is responsible for our decision-making, personality, strategizing, and other complex higher-level cognitive functions. These are the components of our cognition that have moved the needle exponentially on our evolution as humans. Review the science again because it's so highly motivating to me, and I think the more clear the picture is to you as to the exact mechanisms as to why you should control your breathing during exercise, I think the more likely you are to actually employ this in your everyday routine. When the carbon dioxide levels are low, vasoconstriction happens, or narrowing of the blood vessels that go to the brain. When this happens, less oxygen and blood is delivered to the brain. Less blood flow equals less thinking and less adaptations. It is the blood flow, amongst other factors such as lactate, that increases BDNF. That is a growth factor for the brain. Look at it as a miracle grow for the brain, and a cascade of interconnectedness that gives us improved memory, attention, reaction, spatial awareness, language skills, social skills, and a host of other skills that can be made sharper even in the aging brain. And this has been shown countless times in studies. When CO2 levels become too low, that's hypocapnia, blood flow is guaranteed to be less moving into the brain. Low CO2 levels happen when we hyperventilate, that is quickening of the breath, as a response to stress, or really any kind of hyperventilation will cause low CO2 levels, even if it's on purpose and it's not as a response to stress. Our blood vessels become more narrow and less blood is flowing to the brain. Now, if we can increase our carbon dioxide levels by slowing our breathing down and even some level of hypoventilation, which is slower than normal breathing, it is going to raise our carbon dioxide levels. Let's bring it back to executive functioning. When we raise the carbon dioxide levels in our body, we increase not only the width of the blood vessel, but the velocity at which the blood flows through that vessel. The middle cerebral artery of the brain is responsible for much of that blood flow. And this middle cerebral artery has been shown to have increased blood flow, blood velocity in many studies as a consequence of increased carbon dioxide levels. So now you see that increasing carbon dioxide levels in the body increases blood flow to the brain and to the muscles, but that is a topic for a whole other YouTube. Please see my many other YouTubes on increasing blood flow and oxygen to the muscles and why that is a good thing. Creating an environment where you have increased the blood flow to your brain, in which you've improved your executive functioning in your prefrontal cortex, will have you feeling the results of that increased brain acuity immediately after a bout of breath work and exercise. That's right, this study separated the two, but in my work, I combine breath work and exercise so you get the biggest bang for your your butt, which guarantees those rises in carbon dioxide due to the CO2 metabolism during exercise and the combined controlled slow breathing. The breathography technique has been shown now in research in our first pilot study to increase fat loss, strength gain, and metabolic rate. And now with my Capno trainer, I have confirmed that carbon dioxide levels indeed rise performing this technique in conjunction with exercise, which is only optimizing even more components than I just mentioned from that study. So now we know that we're getting those improvements in the brain, and we're getting those improvements in our entire circulatory and nervous system, and many other systems for that matter, when we perform this kind of controlled breathing in conjunction with our functional exercise. To learn how to integrate breathography into your training routine, visit the free community at HYPOXiX.fitness, where you can learn the method for free and also take the course, The Breathing Core. If you're a trainer, it's a continuing education unit for all the major training organizations. HYPOXiX.studio, that's HYPOXiX.studio, is where the live classes happen alongside your 8-week cycles of breathwork and exercise that work you from low intensity to high intensity using your breathwork as a progression over the 8 weeks. I can't wait to see you there. See you at the next video.